We're talking through this series of different spiritual disciplines that Jesus talks about. And this week we're focusing on fasting.
Anybody want a sandwich?
Always.
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 So Jesus has, he's talking about these heart issue things. Like it's do these things, but then it's do these things to be watched. And that's the, why would you, if you're going to give, don't let it be a production. Do it even in secret. If you're gonna pray, it doesn't have to be a street corner or a long drawn out thing. It doesn't have to be production. Just do it, and then the Lord's Prayer, and then fasting the same thing. Don't fast. Don't woe is me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I thought woe is me is a great. That's like a great family feeling.
A great family feeling.
I feel like it's a feeling that people show to their families.
Oh.
Like it's sometimes maybe not. Don't you think that? Like when the people you know well, that it's pretty easy to go like, you might say I'm doing fine to everybody else, but then to people that you know closely go, my life hardest is
my life hardest.
Yeah.
I call Mike and tell him all the things I'm frustrated about, for sure. I don't know if I
do you win then?
I don't feel like it's a competition.
Oh, everything's a competition.
We were just talking about a test right before we started, and like who got done first when you were taking tests as kids, and that being a competition, trying to compete.
You don't ever have the martyr complex at all?
Oh, I'm not saying I don't have that, but I do really hate when I'm talking to somebody and there is this like you're trying to talk about hard things and then they tell you how theirs is harder. That
So what is that?
Crazy.
Yeah, because that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So why does that exist?
I don't know. Why does it exist? Because it's not very good at listening. It's not very I'm not always a good listener for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like if someone's telling me about hard things, I think there's a difference between saying and you're not
empathy.
really supposed to do that, but the empathy where you're like, I understand. I feel like I've gone through this in ways too. And, like trying to empathize with somebody versus like immediately telling somebody how your story is worse. I feel like
hold hands.
They hold hands, but I think they're at least. It goes back to motive. Like the motive feels different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't love it.
It is empathy. Yeah. Where is the line between empathy and you think you've got it bad?
Oh. I don't know. Is it all in the feelings and the emotions of like what people are experiencing in that conversation?
Yeah, remember this was a couple of years ago probably, we used a video tool that showed that sympathy looks down at somebody in a hole and says, here, let me get you out of there.
Recently, yeah.
And then empathy is somebody who looks somebody down in the hole and says, here, let me come down there and I'll sit with you. And so I don't know if the martyr complex is more sympathy or what.
I think it's determined by where the focus is. So like if someone's going through something hard and then you share your story as a way to connect with them, the focus is still them.
Yeah.
But if you're sharing it if you're like trying to one up them,
yes.
I did this or I had this experience, then you're trying to take the focus away from them and you're putting it on yourself.
Yeah.
So you said it before. Stupid selfishness.
Yeah, you said it before. I said it 1,000 times, but yes, it's that comes out of a selfishness of like, who's it about? I'm trying to, and unfortunately, I think we've learned that trying to like get sympathy is a really good tool for getting your way. Like, there's a reason that the squeaky wheel, like, is a thing that we say is because we've learned that if we complain enough, if we as kids, and kids learn that early on. If I keep crying, I'll finally get what I want. And a lot of that carries over to adults. If I keep complaining, if I keep showing that woe is me, I will get the things I want.
Yeah, so that might be the part of the big part of the one-ups.
The one-ups?
Because somebody says, I'm not doing well right now. And you go, well, I'm not going to give in and give them what they want. What about what I want? Then boy, that could be sneaky.
It's really hard. Like I don't fully understand it, honestly. Like
What do you mean?
not the selfishness, but the one up. I mean, we're
if
all
you've never
selfish.
been selfish, you'll
But,
not
like,
understand it.
The one up. Whoa. But like the one upping of somebody, like not listening, not like even. I mean, it feels sneaky. Like it feels like if you're doing it, I almost feel like you don't know you're doing it because it's so. It just feels very like there is like an obvious selfishness in it that feels it like it can't be obvious to the person that's doing it. Like they must not realize they're doing it.
Wow, that's very noble. But I do think that like bringing it to a
I don't know if it's noble. It might be naive.
I think most people I think our default setting for 99% of all of humans is selfish.
Yeah.
And so I think if
Me
you're
too.
not proactively
Mhm.
trying to do the opposite, then you're defaulting into that. And that's not necessarily always bad, but like I think if you don't have the moment of like, okay, why do I feel motivated to share this? Is it because I want them to feel bad for me, or is it because I want them to know they're not alone? Like
Yeah.
that is a very different thing.
Yeah.
And so I think if you're not being proactive, you actually probably are on that side of trying to make it about you, which isn't always necessarily evil or wrong.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
it's not like you're doing something wrong, but I think it's not always empowering to people.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Think of like, I mean, even like our team world. Not saying that this is a thing, but could be. We say, you're telling me that you're busy.
Yeah.
Good. You're telling me you're busy. You're telling me you're busy. You're telling me you're busy. Well, I see that everybody needs help. Well, let's see who needs help the most,
Yeah.
and that can like just go over to this corner where all of a sudden it becomes like this. I have it the hardest, and it's the call of being Christ-like, of like taking your needs and setting them aside,
Mhm.
that taking up your cross, all these vernaculars. But in the moment when you go, I better win this because I want to get or I need to get, is like that keeps you alive and can become manipulative and
Mhm.
mean. And like you said, sometimes it's subconscious,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's just purely selfish. Nice.
That's fun. Nice. I like that.
We're gonna do a 2-part exercise on Sunday. We're doing sliders. So like, I think like you can do. Does Instagram have where you can do different sliders of degree? Maybe not.
I have
but
no idea.
but you can. The idea of some physical things or some things in life to help attributes that would make you healthy as a person. So from exercise or hydration to work-life balance and things. And so giving each of them like not a number score, and it's not, you could have all for each one, or you could have none for each one, but trying to have that variable. And so as you did this, is there anything that kind of stood out to you guys? I thought for me as I did it, I thought, and I mean, I wrote these and it's weird that when I do it, it's different than I expected. I was significantly low on most of them, like below the 50% on the sliders.
Mm.
And so, like my lowest is hygiene, which is funny is that I think
My
you
lowest
could,
is hygiene too.
was it lowest?
Yeah. I mean, it was barely lower than regular medical checkups.
Yes, that was my lowest.
Was that your lowest?
Regular medical
Who
check.
needs medical doctor?
Time management's my lowest.
Time
management.
So be healthy and have poor time management.
is that what you say to every university student?
No, but
Yeah.
like nutrition, sleep, and social connection, like those are my highlights.
Yeah. So the question is, how much of these things does it take to be healthy? Which is vague intentionally, and then
Mhm.
these words are vague intentionally. My highest was social connection, and rest and relaxation, and exercise. What were your highs?
My highest was sleep. because I know when I don't get
Sleep
sleep,
wasn't even one. Oh, it is on there.
it's on there. He skipped it.
How do I have
altogether.
rest and relaxation high and sleep I have low? Interesting.
I
I
feel
see
like
those as different things.
for you they are.
Yeah.
For me, sleep is like if I don't get sleep, I feel it really quickly. So I put that pretty high. And then I also feel like I put hydration really high because I'm not super good at it all the time, and I can feel that too. So like it was interesting because there were some things that I was like,
You have 2 drinks in front of you.
I know I do, but this might be what I drink all day. You know what I mean? Like I might not do another one of those. But like there were some things that I was like, I don't do this very well, and I have like low value with it. And there were some things like I can feel when I don't do well, and also higher value because I
Are
need
your
to.
higher ones the ones you find yourself actively working on right now? 'Cause
Might
that's
be.
That's what it is for me.
For sure.
those are
Like
things
sleep
that I
is
care about, and the other ones are things that I'm like, yeah, I'm not really working on this right now, so I don't really value it.
yeah, that's an interesting thing for sure.
Well, on Sunday we're going to bring to this thought process is that our current state of being has a big impact on what is needed to be healthy. So if we talked about this on Tuesday, I think, is that, if you are 16, 17 years old, again, the goal is to be healthy, and you're thinking about your diet, balanced nutrition, like
You don't feel
a
like it.
16-year-old can eat junk all the time and probably is impacted, but it can also probably be healthy. But if you are,
Don't
older,
point at
if
me.
you're- but if you're in your late 60s, early 70s, and you have hypertension, and you have mobility issues, and you have you're pre-diabetic or diabetic,
Yeah.
then balanced nutrition is like
Much
gotta
more.
be And so if you just say everybody's got to have balanced nutrition to 11, well, again, a kid, they're really resilient. Now, long-term impact, but really resilient.
Yeah, when I was bike racing, I had to have 4,000 calories a day just to stay even, and I just dumped stuff in my body because the furnace was burning white hot.
Yeah.
It didn't matter; it just chewed it up.
Yeah.
Well, after I stopped bike racing, that
4,000
Exercise
calories are
is
still
that,
easy.
that
Yeah.
it changed.
Yeah.
Jackson, like with his medical stuff, like a big thing is the immediately he can't be hypoglycemic. That's really bad for him. But long term, having too much sugar stores in his liver, and like you might not see the impact today or tomorrow, but like if he long term isn't taking care of himself, like he might not be able to walk, and he might not, like it affects his muscles and all these things. And it's hard to like think, 40 years down the road, 50 years down the road, when you're trying to like immediately go, okay, you can't be, your blood sugar can't go too low. That's really bad. And like, and then you also feel bad because sometimes like everybody else has a treat and he can't. And, like there's these emotions immediately, but the long-term impact of him not taking care of himself is so huge, that you can't forget about it, but it's really easy to not see 40 years down the road,
Never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, or 30 years down the road, it's
Tomorrow.
Just, yeah. Right.
On the other side, so the next question and different things were put on there, but how much of these things does it take to be spiritually healthy? And then it's a list of 15 spiritual disciplines. It's not a full list on either side, but I don't know what stood out as you guys did this. My lowest, maybe this goes back to the other side. My lowest was solitude.
Okay.
Solitude and celebration were
Yeah,
lowest for me.
Celebration was my lowest.
It's pretty low for me.
So celebration was kind of low for me, but I think that's because I do it all the time. I'm always celebrating, so
I'm just bad at it.
I like to celebrate everything. Everything's a celebration.
Okay, that's what the tears are for.
Yeah. I was thinking about when we were talking earlier yesterday, we did this opportunities fair, and I was getting donuts for a couple people, and I had like 3 donuts in my hands, and we took a funny picture of it, and I was like, that's a bit opposite. That's more like that's the celebration side. Instead of fasting, I'm just like, look at all my donuts.
The spiritual discipline of donuts.
Donuts. I was celebrating
Donut
life.
fast.
Yeah.
I won't drink water. I'll just eat donuts.
It's so good.
I had my highest were scripture reading
Mm-hmm.
and fellowship.
Prayer was my only high one, my only highest one.
I put worship kind of high because we always talk about worship being everything, and so
That's
I
good.
put that kind of high, and then scripture reading and praying were next.
Yep. Prayer worship.
But
and scripture
study,
reading
I study but I felt like study is kind of combo of all of it.
and Sabbath.
Do you think?
What do you have?
Yeah.
What are your highs?
Prayer's high. Fellowship is high. I don't think you can do this Christian thing alone.
Mhm.
And so and if I value social connection for a healthy human, I should value healthy connection in a community. I think a person who is I think with the prayer piece, prayer is like the active mindful portion of faith. I feel like because like there's routine in being Christian, or there's the belief part of being Christian. I know tons of people who call themselves Christians and maybe they have a good relationship with God, but like I feel like there's a lot of also people I know who are Lutheran or Catholic or whatever words. I was catechized, but like they're not part of a community. They're not actively doing much or any of these things. And I feel like prayer is one of those things. It's like the benchmark for it's really low. But if you're someone who actively prays, there's a pretty good sign that you're trying.
And not now I lay me down to sleep prayer.
Yeah. So on the health side, or to just be healthy, I don't think there is any cultural pressure. Maybe I'm wrong to like have all of them as like you have to do this so much each and every one. Like if you answer this as a true healthy person, all of them would be all the time. But I do feel in me at some part of my history or some type of, I don't know if it was really told to me, but I felt like the correct answer for all spiritual disciplines is that you pray endlessly, you fast continually, you haven't eaten in years, the meditation constant, worship relentlessly, like, and so on the like there is no slider. It's like are you 100% or you're failing, 100% or failing, and so I don't know and if you've ever felt that and what's going on in that is that actually what we should be aiming for? What is the?
I feel like that's really, I mean, we talked about that a little bit earlier this week, like just the stress of not having a clear answer of like how often or how much you're supposed to be praying. And like, it's not super, it's clear about like God is supposed to be the center of everything, but it just doesn't feel like the right answer is super clear. So it can be, for me, it can feel like stressful. Like, am I doing enough? Am I not doing enough? Am I giving enough? And so it just, the ambiguity of it is tough.
Yeah. I think when you look at these, there's some parallels here. I was looking at, how I scored social connection on side one was, I don't know, just over half.
Yeah.
But then when I talk about prayer, which is our connection with God, and our where was it? The other one, fellowship. Yeah, because those are actually pretty high. But I don't. It's like in my life, I'm like I don't value it as much. But when I'm talking with God or being in fellowship with others, in church context, it's much higher.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You almost need to do the slider version of the test where everything is unlimited and then go back through and be like, all right, you have 20 points.
Yeah.
Where are you putting? Because I think where a lot of these things are more actual is that there's only so much of us.
Yeah.
And so like I know it's a little bit what you're getting at with the spiritual disciplines where there's this episode like you have to do all these things all the time. There's only so much of us.
Yeah. Well, and I think that just hearing you guys talk about this, and I think I believe it, trying to live it out, is that if your foundation is, all right, I want to be good enough, I always think, Scott, be a good boy so that God likes you. And so if that's the foundation, I have to be at 11 for each of these. But if the foundation is, I want to be spiritually, I want my relationship with God to be healthy.
Mhm.
And then it's the same thing if you say on the just plain health thing, you just say, I exercise at 100% because it's culturally respectable, and I want to look good for others. Balanced nutrition, it's the same. Hydration. It's so easy to just bring very surface.
Mhm.
And if you don't have underneath as like your definer, the thing that motivates you is just being just simply health,
Yeah.
you could be putting a lot of time, energy, and effort into something that is not making it, actually can be hurting you.
Mhm.
And so again, that if you aren't asking, if the foundation isn't health, you could over exercise.
Mhm.
I don't know if we're in danger, but you could over exercise. You could all of these things you can take to a too far or not nearly enough. And I think that's also true with spiritual disciplines, that you can actually overdo a single spiritual discipline
Mhm.
and lose the motivation of it. And that is exactly, Jesus is going, when you fast, so there's an expectation in that. So it's not, hey, if anybody thinks this is a good thing, it's like, so when you fast, don't fast like those that are making it a production, woe is me, winning the competition of the martyr complex in order to be respectable or revered or just seen as being something. And instead, I feel, I don't think I'm putting words in Jesus' mouth, but like fast in a healthy way. This is about you growing and being mature spiritually, and not about being seen by others, but rather how is you and your healthy relationship with God going?
I think it's like there's a lot of mindfulness that has to happen.
Yeah.
Like if you're thinking about health, for physical health, spiritual health, like I feel like your decisions are different. Like if I'm thinking about my physical health, my decisions from moment to moment are going to be different. Like I might put it's just like, how am I overall reaching this physical health where I feel good and I'm living well? And like, it's not that I can never say yes to a donut, but that can't be my only thing.
Yeah. And that's strangling, right? If you say, all right, my diet is the imperative. It has to be at 11 all the time. And then all of a sudden you just go, eventually you say, I gotta have a donut, and I quit.
Yeah.
And so,
right. You just give up because you made a mistake, according to, or you felt like you made a mistake. But like, I feel like the spiritual mindfulness piece of it, it's like last week I was praying through the Lord's Prayer a couple times, and kind of my own version of the Lord's Prayer. And then in that I was like, how do I bring, how do I think about the Holy Spirit in this? How do I have this? What does that look like? What is the, thinking of the Holy Spirit as my helper or comforter, or, like in those moments, it's like, well, all these moments require something different. Like if I'm thinking of, obviously, like if I'm thinking about spiritual health and I think about the Bible where it talks about praying continuously, and like, I think there's this mindfulness of how am I connecting with God in different moments.
Yeah. And
then like, yes, there's going to be moments where I'm doing something completely different and not thinking about God, but not really thinking about God in every moment.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we, I don't know, I guess I'm not being very clear anymore, but how do I be mindful to like this overall spiritual journey? Because like there are moments that call for fasting, and there's moments that call for celebration, and there's moments that call for solitude, and there's moments that call for fellowship.
Yep.
And so it's like, not every spiritual moment is going to look the same.
Yep.
So it's like everything can't be at a 10 all the time. It's not always what's needed. And like it's just, I don't know. It is like there is a connection with the Holy Spirit in all of these things.
Yeah. What is needed to be healthy now?
Yeah.
That is, if you can answer that well, that is boy, it's going to serve you well.
Well, even being thinking about that, you know, like having, even if you don't have an answer and you're like, what is needed in this moment?
Yep.
Like processing through that is going to move the needle forward. Like,
Yeah. I think one of the commentaries that I found interesting was talking about fasting. It said it's meant to weaken the body to awaken the spirit.
yeah.
You know, and so it was kind of an interesting thought, because I thought, you know, that I've never really considered. I thought, oh, this is just kind of a practice, something
Yeah.
new. But to go, there's actually a deeper purpose,
Mhm.
where you're saying, I'm just gonna, you know, I'm gonna kind of push this aside so that I can focus here. And I thought, you know, what are the other practices that are, you know, that kind of, what is it, you know, kind of subordinate one part of our life so we can
Yeah.
focus on another. And like you said, yeah, it can go too far. I mean, you have the asceticists who are, you know, basically, oh, you know, everything earthly is evil, and you know,
Yeah.
you know, it's got to be all about heavenly stuff. And yeah, you can definitely go too far on that.
Well, again, fasting is a biblical theme, and
Mhm.
I mean exactly what you're talking about. When Moses was receiving the law and Ezra, they were about to make a big move, and there's this declaration of humility, declaring their need for God. Even Jesus after his baptism and fasting in the wilderness, but that picture, what is a physical representation of what you want or desire or need to be happening spiritually. We talk about that with baptism. It's this physical picture of dying to yourself and rising again to new life. We talk about communion being how Jesus' perfection in life and death and resurrection is something for us to consume, to be a part of. And fasting is a physical representation of, listen, here's a moment, God, less of me and more of you. Now, I do think, I think Greg wrote this point last week about prayer, that prayer is not necessarily to move God, but to move us to the way of God.
Mhm.
And I think that sometimes fasting can be like, oh, I want to get God's attention, show him that I'm serious. And again, there's some semantic okayness with that. But if you're like, you know, I'm gonna fast so that God
Does what you want.
does what I want
Faster.
Yes.
Manipulate God
Yeah. And
to get your way.
that could be wrong most of the time. Well, a lot of the time.
I think trying to manipulate
Yes.
God to get your way is probably
Trying to be nice.
not great.
But I think that in the moment when, like you said, Scott, in the moment that you say, all right, this would be a moment where I feel like I got to pile up all of my abilities and just look out, God. I'm going to be ready. I got this. But to have a physical choice that says, all right, I'm going to exemplify my weakness and my dependence on you, not to move you, God, but to move me to realize that I'm weak and you're strong. And boy, I can say, I never have a moment where you go, boy, I really like fasting. But the reality of that, where I go, I realize I'm finite and God is infinite, and feeling that, it makes me kind of Bundy-ish. It like makes me weepier more. It makes me more
Weepier.
focused. It makes me more in touch with that my inability and God's capability. And that's boy, it's worth it. Now, Jesus would say, if you're forgetting about all of that and are just doing it to be revered by others, congratulations.
You did it. This is it.
That's what you got.
That's all you get.
And it didn't change you at all.
No, it made you worse, maybe.
Yeah, more selfish.
Mhm.
But it's fun. There's lots of, we'll talk some about the different ways that fasting can happen, ranging from, it can be food, it can be media, all those things. But as long as if the heart of it is to lessen my ability, capability, my focus, to give reverence and attention to God's capacity, but it has huge impact. It's great.
We'll see you guys next week.